everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Zafehouse Diaries. I hope you enjoyed that first pronunciation, because from now on, I'm just going to call it Zafehouse Diaries. One of the worst things about this game is its title, and I will not stand for the ridiculous precedent of putting a Z or a Z, depending on your predilection, in names of zombie games, just to signify that they are zombie games. But I get it's a marketing thing, it's just kind of silly to me. In any case, Zafehouse Diaries came out on Steam last week, and I initially totally missed it because, again, I kind of have tunnel vision when it comes to zombie games. I tend not to pay attention to them because there's so many of them that come out that it's hard to separate kind of the signal from the noise. Is this signal? Is this noise? Well, we'll find out as we go along. What this is it's kind of unique. It's almost like The Walking Dead meets the Yogg. And if you aren't familiar with what the Yogg is, I'm not talking about, Yogg's Cast Adventures, the Yogg's Cast platformer or adventure game that they're coming out with when it's kickstarted. But the Yogg, the choose-your-own adventure game that came out a couple of months ago. I know Josh plays a ton of it on his channel. It's basically like The Walking Dead meets choose-your-own adventure. It's kind of interesting. Oftentimes really monotonous, but there is one enormous saving grace that lends a lot of emergent gameplay and makes this fun to play, even if it's not necessarily entirely fun to play because of the game's mechanics, which I'm going to express a lot of potential criticism with. Without further ado, let's get started. Zafehouse Diaries, I should mention, is $10 on Steam right now, and there will be a link in the video description below. So there's 3 campaigns. One of them is No Survivors, which is easy mode, but essentially this is just like you have no objective, you have no time limits, you can just like try to last as long as you can. Then there's also a hard mode, last 1 week with 5 survivors, finding clues to help you get rescued, so that's your objective, is to get rescued. Obviously, you can see other conditions kind of over here. And we're going to play the normal mode, which is basically we have an objective, and that objective is to repair a damaged vehicle and use it to drive out of this zombie-infested town. And there is no time limit associated with this one, but it's still really tough. I've never even come close to beating it. Sometimes I don't come close because I die, as in a lot of zombie games. In this game, things can unravel pretty quickly if they start going wrong, but also sometimes I just get bored and I'm like, I don't want to play this for another 3 hours, which is probably like the worst criticism that I could offer, but I apologize. So, we're getting started here, and pretty soon you are probably going to get a feel for just what the heck makes Zafehouse Diaries kind of interesting, but I'll get to that in just 1 second. Sorry about that, just wanted to make sure that my screen recording software was still working after that window size change, and it is! In any case, this is a game where the narrative is entirely told through these kind of journal entries that we'll come across. There's a lot of reading to be done in this game, similar to the way that there's a lot of reading done in a choose-your-own-adventure book. I mean, it's not War and Peace, but every time we take a turn, which represents an hour on this in-game clock, we're going to have, maybe a page of dialogue to read. Some people are going to fucking hate that. Some people are going to be okay with it. The good thing about it is that it really does create some interesting situations, especially with the characters that you have. But let's start here. So this, I'm going to set the stage. I'm not going to read every journal entry, but I'll read this one. So it's 6 a.m. Sunday, September 8th. We're on the house on 6 Sundance Way. We made it. Among our fragile group, we have a cleaner, a musician, a bartender, a surgeon, and an athlete. We arrived with a few weapons, some tools, some food, and no medical supplies. The 5 of us are wary of each other. Oh, this is going to spoil it a little bit, but T101 isn't adjusting well to the group, but J. Smith OTI might be able to hold everyone together. We met someone on the outskirts of town. He said he was part of the scavenger group looking for some spare parts, but they were attacked and he was the only one who survived. He said there might be a vehicle in town that we could probably patch up if we had the right parts, but there's a catch. The outskirts are infected and getting more dangerous by the day. We'll need to find a map before we even think about leaving. Before leaving, the scavenger said we might want to check out 3 Vista Court. This sets the stage, so I'm going to click this map over here. This represents kind of like the second interface that we deal with. This is the journal which tells the story, but we plan all our actions on this grid, and we're going to get introduced to our party. And I'm going to pull this up, and you're going to be like, whoa, how did this happen? Did you guys, like, kickstart it to get yourself in the game? No, there is a custom content manager in Zafehouse Diaries where you can add any survivors that you want to the game, and you can make it so your party is made up of whoever you want. So right now, obviously, I have the NLSS crew, Rockley Smile, J. Smith OTI, and myself. I realized that my head's tilted in the wrong direction versus these guys, but this is the best pictures I could find. Hopefully they're okay with it. Also, I decided who else would I want on my side in a zombie apocalypse. Maybe Steve Harwell, because he's such an all-star. I don't see how he could mess things up. Plus, he's always positive. He's a believer, right? So, lead singer of Smash Mouth over there. And then a T101, because, he's like a killing machine, so why not? So, one of the things you really have to manage in the game is your relationships. I should point out that, you have to add these, but it's really, really easy to add. You basically just need a JPEG saved to your computer, which you can easily steal from the internet of whoever you want, basically. So this adds like its own level of emergent gameplay, which is really the shining part of Zafehouse Diaries so far. The game itself often gets a little tedious and boring for my taste. There's a lot of micromanagement involved. We'll talk about that a little later. But one of the things you really have to manage in the game is your relationships between your survivors. So by clicking on one of these photos, I can bring up this relationship map. and we can see how things go. So obviously, green means they feel positive towards one another. Yellow is like, yeah, you were middling, and red is antagonistic. So we can see we've got a strong NLSS crew. The bios, you can set as much of them to be static as you want. Like, I didn't make myself an athlete. That's just random. But, you know, I did make it so Steve Harwell is always a musician who's aged 38. I don't know if that's actually his real age, but in any case, a lot of these bios are randomly generated, so you're going to have different relationships every single time, even if you have the same people. So I didn't plan for the NLSS crew to all like each other. But let's read a couple biographies here. Northernlion was an athlete. That's a laugh. He's 24, straight, has a university education, and comes from a middle-class background. You could change all of this if you want to. He is fit and strong, practical and realistic, and is most useful preparing a meal, cleaning up corpses, patrolling outside, and creating a distraction. He has a lingering prejudice towards the wealthy. Not necessarily true, but it is a video game. I like this one. J. Smith OTI was a bartender. He's 25 straight, has a university education, comes from a middle-class background. He's experienced and stable, practical and realistic, and is most useful preparing a meal, watching for zombies, cleaning up corpses, patrolling outside, and creating a distraction. He claims he isn't racist, he just doesn't like the look of T-101. That's pretty offensive, J. Smith OTI, I have to say. Actually, this one is so much better. Again, this stuff is all randomly generated. T-101, he's a surgeon, you know, surgical precision anyway. He claims he isn't racist, he just doesn't like the look of Rockley Smile, Steve, J. Smith OTI, and Northernlion. Again, totally random. I did not put in this guy as a man-killing cyborg. That is just randomly generated. Again, emergent gameplay. Anyway, I've talked about this far too much. You can also, if you want to flip things over, you can see like what their occupation are, how they feel, and all of your people are represented by a token that's on the map. So, you know, if I flip this over, I am the, like, penny here. Nick is this weird little washer. Josh is a guitar pick. Anyway, probably Steve Harwell should be the guitar pick. Let's be honest here. He's the most talented musician who's ever lived. Let's talk about our objective. Our objective is to, you know, each one of these kind of squares here that we can kind of mouse over and it turns yellow represents an establishment or a building or some kind of special area. The ones that don't have like an icon over them are just houses. These are usually like the safest places to explore and scavenge for materials. But the ones with icons over them, like for example, ABC, that's a school. This martini glass is a bar. There's a warehouse right next to us, hospital, hotel, etc., etc. These have usually more zombies, so they're more dangerous. But additionally, they usually have more resources, oftentimes themed to whatever the establishment is. So the hospital, I assume, has medical supplies. The bar, I assume, has some food. The warehouse might be a good location to make some new supplies. How do we actually play the game? We're like 8 minutes in here. I haven't done jack shit. Okay. So it is a turn-based strategy/simulation game. You want to manage the relationships between your survivors because, you know, as you know, love will tear you apart in a zombie apocalypse, and if you put people that don't like each other together, they will blow each other's brains out eventually. So we're going to have, like, two factions here. We know the NLSS crew is, they like each other, they're going to work well together. So we're going to have Rockley Smile, J. Smith OTI, you just drag their icons to wherever you want them to go, and myself, and we're going to go investigate this house. And we're going to investigate first, and then we're going to explore it, because we want to see if there's any zombies, see if we're going to get into trouble. And the interface can be a little clunky. So, you know, you drag the icons over, or the tokens over, and then you got to click this investigate button. And this will allow you to choose kind of the loadout you want your people to take. Now, obviously, we're probably going to start with handgun rounds and a handgun. We'll take a baseball bat. All of these things will basically affect the dice rolls that come into play if you encounter zombies, if you encounter, like, aggressive other survivors, etc., etc. Since we're just investigating, which means we're just going to, like, count zombies and the number of entrances to the house, we'll take a wrench, we'll take a frying pan, just in case something goes terribly wrong. But apart from that, that's okay. So these guys are now going to go investigate this house. We could also have them breach or assault. Assault is basically like all out, super loud, kill all the zombies. Breach is kind of sneak in, start scavenging for supplies, take out zombies as they come. So, we're going to go look at this house, and meanwhile, we're going to keep T-101 and All-Star Steve Harwell in our existing house, and we're just going to have them do one of these other things that they can do in the house that we've already kind of chosen for ourselves. So maybe we'll have... you can see their stats on each one of these, by the way. Maybe we'll have T-101. He'll search this house for anything useful. There is a searched kind of bar up here. When this hits 100%, there's nothing left for us to find, but he can find things like weapons, ammunition, food, and cooking ingredients, you know, tools, things to modify tools, etc., etc. And we'll have Steve Harwell watch for zombies, and then we'll finally take one turn. So we'll advance by an hour here. And we'll see what happens. So, you know, we'll get 2 separate diary entries because we've got 2 separate parties right now. So the house at 3 Vase Court, that's the one we just went to, is a small building with around 7 rooms. It has 3 doors and 9 windows. It should contain a cache of medical supplies. Nick, Josh, and I scouted around the perimeter of the house. They counted 0 zombies outside. They saw 3 zombies inside. We also returned from our recon, and T101 found a note. Bring the gear to the store at 4 Lenox Road when we arrive. So remember, we're trying to find like parts to build an automobile. So we want to like take clues like this and then go to that store, and you know, maybe we'll encounter a gasoline can or a carburetor or something that we can put into this vehicle. So we found good information. Steve, T101, Nick, Josh, and myself are getting along better after the discovery. T101 found a cooking ingredient and 3 snacks. Half the rooms have been searched. Broccoli Smiles feeling slightly fit. Northernlion provided some useful tips. So we're getting along here. It's copacetic, right? If I look at our relationship map, people are slightly better. Steve and T1000 still not necessarily on the best terms with each other. But now, okay, so before we start talking too much more, let's take another turn quickly so we can actually get some momentum going here in this game. And this time, since we've investigated, we know that there's 3 zombies inside, maybe more. We will have them breach this time. So we'll go to breach, and this is one of the things that I dislike the most about the game, is that inventory management is a real problem. Every single time you send people, you have to kind of commit to giving them the same stuff you gave them before. What you can do, you can save a loadout, but if anything changes, then you have to like customize that loadout when you reload it in. Similarly, like let's say I take 23 9mm rounds, and then I like load it in, but I've already used 8 of those rounds. Obviously, it's only going to give me 15, but I guess it's good that it still loads it in. I'm not sure what else they could have done, but there's so much shit that you're going to find in this game that it becomes really, really monotonous to manage this stuff over and over. Like, by the time this video ends, I will probably have like 8 frying pans, 8 spanners, like 17 fire axes, and it's just like, at some point, I wish like the loot was consolidated and minimized so I didn't have to ignore a lot of it and probably end up missing some important stuff. Anyway, we have 19 weight limit. Let's take some snacks just in case we get hungry while we're searching that place. Actually, I should leave the bar of soap for those guys. We'll take a frying pan, wooden spoon, and a sponge, which will help us clean corpses, weirdly enough. And we'll save this as a breach loadout, and then we'll advance another turn, and Steve and T101 will keep doing what they're doing. Okay, so we've breached it. I'm just cliff notesing it basically here. We had to spend some time trying to find a way in, increasing the risk of a confrontation. Cleared the room, taking down 1 zombie. It sounds like there's only a handful wandering around in the house. T101 found some cooking ingredients, and then it's like usually 2 turns to breach a house, so we might as well let 1 more turn go. We don't need to do anything else with Steve and T101. You always want to have 1 person kind of like watching or patrolling for zombies, just so you don't get caught unawares. Okay, so T101 found a snack in the kitchen. That's very engaging. Can't miss dialogue. There were a few zombies outside the place. Most of the fighting took place in the first bathroom. J. Smith OTI struck 2 zombies with a baseball bat, and we killed them all. Good news. Okay, so now we have this house, and this is basically the way that the methodology that I use when I play. You know, investigate a place, see if the odds are surmountable. If they are surmountable, then, you know, send in a breaching party, and then we're going to search the location for anything useful. So maybe Josh, you can search. We'll have me clean up corpses, and then we'll have Nick watch for zombies. And then once we hit 100%, we'll take back any useful loot to our safe house. Although this might be a better safe house. But anyway, we'll take back all the loot to our safe house and then keep it there. And we're going to have to barricade our safe house as night comes. So another thing I like about this game, actually, is that we can type notes about each area. So for this area, we might want to type, this is the house where Steve and T1000 are. We can type safe house, auto parts will be here. So this is where we're going to keep our auto parts. And also, we could give it like a, we can mark it with a solid circle or a dash circle, or we could just clear the mark and note. This one, they give us kind of 1 circle to be like, this is probably where an auto part is. So we had that one dialogue. It was like, check out something lane, and there could be an auto part there. Was it 3 Vista Court? That might have been it. I thought it was 3 something. The roads don't necessarily feel like they make a whole lot of sense always in this game, which can be confusing, but that's okay. Kind of wish they just said, like, hey, check out the police station, but I guess there's multiple of some kind of buildings. Anyway, we're going to keep doing what we're doing here. So we've indicated this is our safe house. When we clear out this, we'll, like, give it a dash circle or something, and it'll be, like, cleared out. And we'll continue moving on. So each time that we advance, it's 1 hour. There's no time limit, but keep in mind that the hard scenario, your goal is to survive for an entire week. So, you know, I can't imagine how long that would take. Each day probably takes about half an hour. I guess it depends how much you like micromanaging. Or maybe 20 minutes. So, 3 days. I guess it would take you about 2 hours to get through a campaign. But as time goes on, the micromanagement becomes much, 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 much more of a problem. And inventory management becomes a serious issue, and, managing your encumbrance and equipment load. Anyway. So we're searching the house. Josh found a crowbar, a golf club, a hammer, a handgun, and a wrench. I found some rifle rounds, I think, a 12-gauge shell, and a 9mm round. That's good. Josh found another golf club. We searched a quarter of the rooms. T101 found another snack. And we'll just continue on because we want to make sure we get to 100% finding everything. T101 found a crowbar and a fire axe. Josh found a hockey mask and a screwdriver. I've removed all corpses from the house. Josh found a can of gasoline. So now that I've removed all the corpses, maybe I should search for something useful as well, just to speed up the process here. And you'll see, after we loot one house, we're going to have way too much equipment to carry back. So we're going to have to either make multiple trips or just take the useful stuff and, leave a lot of the extraneous stuff behind, which is annoying because I would much rather just, the game only gives us meaningful loot. I had the same problem with Sir, You Are Being Hunted. I don't know if this is early access, though. The development on this might be finished. So T101 found a baseball bat and a machete in the basement. All the rooms in the house have now been searched. Okay, so this is good. We have now found searched all the rooms in this house, so we can maybe give this a dash circle to be like we've covered it. How about this one? 67%. So what we should do now is probably have all three of these guys come back. That's not the zombie alarm. That is my coffee maker. And we'll have them breach, which essentially means they're just going to go into the house. And now we see we've got 19 weight. What do we want to take back with us? Well, we have no vehicle parts. Those are the most important. We should probably take back the bandages. We should maybe take back some snacks. But obviously the most important thing, we want to take back some guns. All of the ammunition that we can. We can probably leave the 12-gauge shell because we don't have a shotgun yet. We probably want to take back one golf club as a close quarters weapon, a hockey mask as a defensive thing. And now we're going to have to make some tough decisions. And we're still 3-4 hours into I guess we're 7 hours into our first day. This could take 2 weeks for us to get. So, eventually our safe house is just going to have a ton of stuff. We should probably take some scrap because we can use that to make traps. Bottle of spirits. Takes the edge off a hard day. Sure, why not? Now we only have 9 weight left, and everything is bare minimum 0.5 except for ammunition. Maybe we'll take one wrench, one screwdriver. By the way, when you mouse over an item, you can see what the use of it is. So, a can of gasoline, start a bonfire to attract zombies from all over town. That seems really useful. A butter knife. It's good for quietness, good for close quarters. Well, okay for close quarters. Decent for cooking. Carving knife, better for cooking and quietness. So we're going to move some of this stuff over as necessary. These will help us with a number of things. So there are kind of 2 distinct phases of the game, almost like a day-night cycle. We should take the hammer. Trying to think. Maybe wooden spoon, and we'll take a deck of playing cards to kind of take the edge off. Oh, but I should... Okay, take the deck of cards out. It is important to maintain morale, but we'll take a baseball bat instead. And I guess we'll save this as our loadout, even though it won't matter. We'll have to do that probably every time. And then we'll come back into our safe house. So Steve and T101 waited for the right moment and let us inside. T101 found some more tools, a bottle of spirits, can of gasoline, deck of playing cards in the living room, etc., etc. Steve has reported that the house is surrounded by a small number of zombies. He added that the noise level at the house is low. Hopefully zombies won't be interested. Good news. So we are still about 4 hours away from night. So let's do some quick investigating here as well. We can have people do different things. As soon as the house is 100% searched, I will have people do different things. But let's take our search party again, and we'll have them, and that is me, Nick, and Josh, go investigate this warehouse because it could have some awesome tools in it. So we'll go to, again, sometimes the infrastructure, the UI is a little bit hard to manage. We're not going to have them use their standard loadout because I don't want them to take too much equipment with them because I want them to leave it at the safe house because we can't carry all that much stuff. But anyway, we'll have them take all the ammunition and 2 handguns, and if you get a pair of binoculars, that's really good for recon, but whatever. We'll just have them take 3 snacks instead, and they should be totally fine to just look at this warehouse. We'll see how it works out for us. I'm not sure what that sounded like. Oh, wait. The warehouse at 3 County Drive is a small building with around 6 rooms. It has 4 doors, windows leading in from the outside. The place should contain a cache of tools. Good. We found a van at the warehouse. If we have the right parts, we can repair it and leave this place. This is the first time I've ever found the van, actually. So these are the parts that we have to find. Fuel pump, spark plugs, distributor, air filter, radiator. That's good news. We found 4 zombies inside. That's honestly not that bad. Rockley Smile ate a snack. Now's not the time. J. Smith OTI is feeling slightly fit after doing some exercise. I provided some useful tips. Okay, so let's go in and siege this area. Well, not siege, but breach this area. And hopefully by now you're kind of getting a feel for what I mean by the fact that the game can be a little bit monotonous at times. We'll take a golf club, a machete, hockey mask, 2 handguns. Got to make sure at least someone has a melee weapon, of course. Take a few snacks with us. We can prepare a meal. We could use some more cooking ingredients, but we'll take a wrench and a screwdriver. This is just to make sure we can break in. A hammer, a hacksaw, fire axe, crowbar. I think that's probably maybe a bottle of spirits just in case, a drill. Okay, that should be enough to breach. But yeah, like we're just doing this over and over, and then every time you take a turn, you're reading like a page of dialogue. It never really gains momentum. It is kind of an interesting game though, but it's one that usually I get my fill after like 45 minutes to an hour. Now imagine if you didn't put in your own kind of hilarious characters and loved the interactions that came out just emergent between them, you might get a feel for how I've felt when I played with like these 5 strangers that the game starts you with. It's still kind of a neat idea. I'm just not sure if it's necessarily that engaging. Okay, so we've breached in. I'm just trying to see if there's anything useful here. There's no zombies. There's only a handful of zombies inside the warehouse. That's good. A small mob is gathering outside the warehouse. No, God! So sometimes this can happen, almost like FTL-style events. Rock Smile's infected. Turns out those lacerations weren't so benign. We could kill him now, but this would have a dramatic effect on Jason with OTI and Northernlion. It's true. If we let him live, he'll drain our medical supplies, not to mention he could turn on us. Jason with OTI thinks he can stop the infection by amputating Rock Smile's left leg with a machete. Yeah, let's do it. So he did it, and what happened? Oh, Nick has died, unfortunately. Steve ate a snack while all this was going on. Rock Smile, Jason with OTI, and Northernlion were still trying to clear out the remaining zombies. A small mob gathered outside. The fighting took place in the main storeroom. Rock Smile shot a zombie's head with a handgun after blasting its left leg. Northernlion sliced 3 zombies with a machete. Rock Smile received small cuts and tears. He became frustrated with everyone after the battle. He got infected. Turns out that those lacerations were not so benign. Jason with OTI thought he could save him by amputating his left leg. Northernlion let him try. He scrambled around for the machete and hacked away the limb, fumbling several times. Eventually, Rock Smile's left leg was removed, but Jason with OTI's clumsy attempt caused even more injuries. Rock Smile finally succumbed to his new injuries and died shortly after. Wow, what a dick, Josh. You really bungled that one up, didn't you? So now we've lost a party member permanently. In the easy mode, you can actually recruit new survivors if you find them, but in this one, you know, we're stuck with the same people the entire time. We still have an NLSS alliance, but Steve and T101 still hate each other. By the way, I didn't even mention this, but he claims he isn't racist. He just doesn't like the look of T101. You can spread a rumor. So what we might want to do here is who has prejudice against the wealthy? I have prejudice against the wealthy. Is he wealthy? Yeah, Steve's wealthy. So what we could say is maybe we could spread a rumor about Steve and say that he is he directed a film that was outrageously popular among middle-class young men, which is what I believe I am listed as in the database here. So by spreading this rumor, this will have an effect on how all people feel about Steve Harwell, even the T-1000. I mean, he might be disinterested, but anyway, this is a way that you can only spread one rumor a day, but this is a way to kind of affect the relationships between the survivors and hopefully make a more kind of copacetic group. So I believe we've killed all the zombies in the warehouse, but obviously things are not going great here. We'll have Josh search, and I will watch. The house is 100% secured right now. So why don't we have the T-1000 modify items, which will allow us to get, like, basically we can make a hammer even better. We can make a gun silenced or more long range or something. Okay. So, on hearing this rumor, Jason with OTI, T101, and Northernlion were closer to Steve. That's good. T101 is modifying a crowbar. While Steve was watching for zombies, T101 made snide remarks about his work. Nice watching for zombies, Steve. When did you get those eyes? The turn of the thermonuclear... fuck it, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're searching the warehouse as well. Josh has found a number of things. 18 9mm rounds, 18 rifle rounds, an angle grinder, 10 carving knives, a crowbar, a drill, a flashlight, 12 frying pans, a hacksaw, and 12 saucepans. Now, I get that this is a warehouse. It stores things. They make things, maybe. But again, it exemplifies pretty well a major complaint that I have with the game, which is I don't want to deal with all this shit. Ammunition, cool. But, like, 10 carving knives, like, I'm only going to take 1 or 2 of them with me. And I get that, you know, forcing you to manage your inventory kind of makes sense in a game like this because you can't carry everything. But it's really frustrating to deal with. And I think it's bullshit to kind of, like, say, oh, well, it's, you know, immersion giving because, you know, you can't actually get everything you want in a zombie apocalypse. Can't carry it in one trip as well. Yeah, but, you know... it's not fun. So that's a problem that I have with it. If you want this to be immersion giving, maybe just call it Zafehouse Diaries instead of Zafehouse. It's such a minor complaint. But anyway, we found totally 14 carving knives during our time there. How much is the warehouse isn't even close to searched at all, but it's dark, so we actually should take Josh and myself back. And again, every single time you have to make sure that you are taking everything that you want. It's not just like, just bring back what you found that was useful. We still have no vehicle parts. It's just like you have to micromanage this every single time. So we're going to take back, we don't need quarrels. Quarrels are a crossbow, but we don't have a crossbow yet. Might as well take back the rifle rounds just in case we ever find a rifle. We'll take back some scrap. We actually can't afford to take back very much of it. So, one carving knife, one crowbar, one drill, one fire axe, a flashlight. We're already at, like, our weight limit now. See? Kind of sucks, right? Just there's so much stuff that I don't know what is actually the right stuff to use here. So we'll let a little bit more time go by. Basically, it's nighttime. Steve and T101's constant bickering is getting everyone down. That's hilarious. But I'm probably going to stop the video here. Wow! T101 hates everybody. It's a pretty good spot to stop the video. I haven't shown off absolutely everything. Now that it's nighttime, essentially, the game does actually get a little bit more boring, honestly, and I hate that that's a very honest criticism, in my opinion. But we'll spend some time, like, making traps, barricading, and then we'll just, like, let turns advance. As time goes by, we'll tinker, let turns advance, zombies will push in, we'll fight them back, and, you know, we'll be safe. There's probably more depth to it than that, but that's my experience so far. And occasionally you'll come across these events, like, that's like the 4th or 5th time I've seen the one for a survivor that's like, they got bitten, would you like to try an amputation? There's also been one I've seen a lot that's like, a young girl has come to your house, she's mysterious, do you let her in, kill her, or turn her away? Also, one that's shown up a lot is, you know, a guy calling himself the Piper has shown up, and he wants live bait. Do you want to give him the, like, least popular member of your group? And if you do, then he'll drag them away, and all the zombies that are surrounding your safe house will leave. So those are the only 3 encounters that I've seen so far. I'm not sure if that's just because I've only played, like, 2 days into the campaign here. But suffice it to say that Zafehouse Diaries, the most fun that I've had with it is totally as a result of the weird emergent gameplay that comes out from adding in custom survivors. I think that's a super awesome feature, and one of the saving graces of a game that is otherwise somewhat tedious and boring. The micromanagement is, it only gets worse from here. You might be watching this and saying, it doesn't look so bad. Trust me when I say that, you know, repeat this over an hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, and you're going to be really frustrated being like, okay, I got 17 crowbars, 8 fire axes, 2 sledgehammers, 8 exceptional spanners, an angle grinder, 4 welders, and eventually you just, like, it all becomes noise in your brain, right? You're like, I don't remember what to take. You got to keep, like, a separate document next to you and be like, what did I bring here? Because I want to bring all that back, obviously. And that becomes really frustrating. If they just simplified the loot system, I would like it a lot more. I think I'd spend a lot more time with it. But apart from that, it's kind of cool. I like the choose your own adventure elements of the game. I don't necessarily think it's a must buy at $10, but I do think it is really entertaining if you know, use your own creativity, put your own survivors into it. It's really easy to put your own survivors in, which is nice. But again, it's $10 on Steam. If you're interested, you can find a link in the video description below. But for most people, even if you are looking to use this as kind of a laugh, using the survivor creation tool, I would probably recommend that you wait for a sale. I'm assuming, sorry, you wait for a sale. Oh, I crack myself up sometimes. Steve's not going to like that one. Yeah, wait for a sale. Maybe it'll come out a little bit cheaper. I think this is a totally fun game that you could stream like once or twice and people would love it, but after a while they'd be like, oh, there's so much reading involved. I don't hate reading, but you know, it does get a little tedious in this game. Overall, though, kind of a cool idea. I don't necessarily think it was executed as well as I would like it to be, but this is a game that I'm sure will find a niche that some people like. Just not for me, at least, you know, it's not a must-buy, in my opinion, at the very least. But as always, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like or a civil comment telling me what you liked or did not like. Subscribe if you want to see more first impressions videos of games that are coming out. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.